and it was all yellow. I swam across, I jumped across for you. Oh, what a thing to do, 'cause you were all yellow. I drew a line, I drew a line.
This week we will learn the song. So maybe next week, because Kevin and their team, they've been putting the words up. So by next meeting, I hope we could sing Yellow together. Code is? Code is yellow. Thank you all very much. Tonight's meeting has such an extra energy. Michelle, why? Because we're in a Moruga Tableland. There's an extra vibe, extra strength coming out of your constituency, Michelle. So thank you all very much for joining us this evening. I acknowledge the two chairpersons who chaired our meeting, former Alderman Philip Gonzalez, give him a round of applause. And our new councillor, the young lady, both did a great job. Councillor Alima Ali, give her a round of applause, please. And let me thank Lengua TIA for allowing us to school, so give them a round of applause as well. Thank you. Thank you very much. Deputy Leader, Senator Jillian John. Gail, I never knew you could dance so. I was going to say wine so, but I think a better word. I didn't know you could dance. Give her a round of applause. Deputy Leader, the Lion himself, MP Dr. Munilal, Senator Anil Roberts, always on the ball and always on the go. Nicole, I think Michelle is training you very well. Give Nicole a round of applause. Our other MPs are here, our senators, activists, members of the National Executive, members of the Moruga Executive, all teams, all UNC. And of course, to the viewers and listeners, give them a loud roar, let them hear us over the TV, over the radio. I am very, very happy tonight to see in our midst my colleague from way back when, former MP Nizam Baksh. Let's give him a round of applause. And joining us tonight, the two guys in the blue shirt, Mr. Jackman from OWTU, together with his colleague. Let us thank them for joining us. And all of you here, good evening. I'm happy to be with you. Always great when we could see each other face to face, eye to eye, as they say. And I can always see something that really lifts me up, inspires me, is I can see the smile, not just in your face, but in your eyes. That is always so very important. So thank you for that feedback. Thank you for that love. But that is a very important thing. Yes, JJ, if I could sing, I would sing with you. Put a little love in your heart. Don't be angry all the time. I wonder, some people, when they wake up in the morning, like they have nothing good to do, nothing good to say. Some people, from time they get up in the morning, sometimes they don't even sleep whole night. They are keyboard warriors. Keyboard, I mean, send a smile, send some yellow hearts, you know. But some people seem to live in so much anger and pain. Let us say, God bless them. Put a little love in your heart and live a good life, live your best life. Tonight, in this beautiful constituency of Moruga Tableland, I didn't have this in my speech, but you see Michelle and everybody here? After I drive through that road coming down here, Anil talked about it. I think Rudy talked about the oxygen mask falling off the plane, falling off the precipice. What can I say to you? What is the one thing I will think make you happiest? I give you this assurance, when we form the next government, your roads will be given priority. Give you priority. I cannot imagine, Michelle, driving out of here, have to go Port of Spain to Parliament, other people driving to go, I mean, and you know, you said the precipice on the red is a red twine thing. They have to block off the thing, right, to block off the precipice. You can't even see it. It's only when you reach, maybe you driving every day would see it. It's only when you're almost upon it, then you see it. Minister of Works, why don't you put some signs, put some lights, put something? It is exceedingly dangerous. So I give you the assurance, you put the UNC back in office, and we will fix your roads here in Moruga, Tableland. Your constituency also is one of a true Trini constituency, because we can find here every ethnicity, every religion, the diversity that is TNT. And I say you also stand out very badly for a good thing, for a very badly for a bad thing. I talk about the roads already. Unemployment is also very high. Michelle mentioned it. Among the young people, struggling to get jobs in your area, outside your area. Michelle mentioned it as well, the lack of water and these conditions that you have had to protest over. You know, I saw 3 ministers come down in my constituency a day or two ago. The Minister of Water, or No Water, what's his name? Marvelous Marvin. Okay, thank you. He came down in my constituency together with Miss Beckles and together with one other, Foster Cummins. 3 of them come to open up tap. Still no water, okay? Still no water. So they come, they run a line, and they say, hey, look, Kamala not even here, boy. You see, Michelle, you said it, they miss us. They come down the road, they even tell me they're coming down the road. If I knew, I would have been there. That's my constituents. And you know why they came there? Same thing, Michelle, all of us talk about. Because that seat is going to be contested in a by-election. That part of the constituency. Yes, madam, that's your area. Make sure it blows for them. And so they came into Mondiablo. Why? After 9 years, you come to open a tap in Mondiablo and boasting about water and where Kamala and where the MP. Listen, you could do all of that and it blows. It licks. Licks like fire, licks like peas. That is one by-election that is booked. The councillor there, our councillor, passed away in December, since December. So they have not had a councillor since December, and that is the seat known as Queen Anne Mondiablo. And then right here, you have the Lingua Indian Walk seat, also a by-election. So we have 2 by-elections in front of us. As I said, it will be licks like fire, licks like peas. We'll wipe them up in both seats as we move towards the general election. You know, when I see Michelle and talk with her and hear her speak, it gives me tremendous hope for the future of our party and for the future of our nation. She's a dynamic person, vibrant, committed MP Michelle. She's always on your side. I always see her on the news side by side with you, fighting for you, representing for you. I commend you, madam, for the great job that you're doing. I'm proud of you. And I say keep the faith and fight on in true UNC spirit. Fight on towards victory. I remember you telling me I come from the belly of Moruga. I can tell you where the caved lands are. I can tell you where my brothers are sitting on the block. So when you live the pain, neglect, you can best represent people because you are living it daily, on a daily basis. Again, let's give her a tremendous round of applause as your MP from Moruga Tableland. So where are we on the road to victory? Where are we on the road to take this government? I'll tell you where we are. On Thursday, last April 11, that was the deadline date for filing general election nomination forms, contesting the seats here. Do you know how many people filed nomination forms under the UNC banner? About 200 persons for 39 seats. I'm told it's about 200 persons filed their forms. So you see how many people, but that's not pressure. That means people like the party. They want to represent. They want to serve. And of course, there are only 39 seats in Trinidad. So 200 we'll have to do screening. So what are we doing now? We don't want to be caught off guard. So the step that we're going through now is for the Secretariat to engage in a thorough fact-checking of every single form. They have to go through every single form because it's very easy to put people's name, 36 persons' names. Everybody had to put up 36 persons to recommend them. We have to fact-check everything so we are not caught off guard with something that we didn't bargain for. I remember in the National Executive, some members of the NATEX are here. We spent hours, remember MP Munilal, MP Lee, spent hours on that form, going through to make sure that we would capture the best set of information we needed to make decisions about who should contest which seat. So the Secretariat, as I say, that is what is now taking place with the nomination forms. And again, the party will do what the party will do, what the party must do in accordance with the party's constitution as we go forward on the road to victory. This party, you will see here tonight and elsewhere, this party will continue to be a party of great diversity and tolerance. When I began in this party, and many of us are there, I think Munilal was in the Savannah, in Arangways, maybe in Darsing and so on. When we began in this party, you couldn't see what I'm seeing here tonight. You couldn't see the mix and the diversity that we're seeing here. Now, true, Shanti, Mohini, you all were way back when. And so, from then to now, this party has grown tremendously, representing every race, every creed, every religion. That is the diversity of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is the diversity of this UNC party that we all belong to, this great party. Our party is open to all people from all walks of life. All the time, all faiths, all morals, all values must be respected because all are equally important. I remember Morgan Job used to tell me, some of you may remember former MP Morgan Job. He used to tell me, Kamla, see not race in every face. See grace, because we are all children of God. And today I ask you to remember that. See not race in every face, but see grace, because we are all children of God. And that is my heartfelt belief, and that is a foundation stone of the great UNC you belong to. There's no room for intolerance. There's no room for extremism of any time in our UNC and in our party. As your leader, as a national leader, I represent all people equally and fairly. I cannot and will not be controlled by any individual or group to promote any singular agenda at the expense of other sectors of our country. I will always promote the well-being of our diverse, beautiful people with the same level of love and commitment I have always shown in my life. I will continue to participate in every aspect of a multicultural society without fear or favor. Likewise, I respect the right of any person who chooses not to participate in accordance with their own views to do as they think best. We are still a free society. That is a choice I have made, and that is a choice I ask every UNC member to make, to participate in the diversity that is Trinidad and Tobago. There will always be differences in a society. And whilst that is true, I believe I show love and respect to all equally. As a leader of this great UNC party, and as a national leader, I give you the assurance I will show tolerance, love, and compassion without fear or favor. But I warn you, do not take my kindness for weakness. Do not ever take my kindness for weakness, I warn you. Because I am woman and I am strong. I am UNC and I am proud. And I ask you to say, we are UNC and we are proud. Never, ever, ever take my kindness for weakness. Never. I serve you with notice. Don't say you were never notified. I talked now about the EBC report, which has been in the news. EBC report, yes. When you get an EBC report in the parliament, Anil, you know what's going on. Elections, Come in, come in, come in. That report has been submitted to Parliament. We have gotten copies, and I'm sure some of you have seen it. What is it doing? They've renamed 5 constituencies. Name change. Okay, Mr. Jackman, you know where you're from? Pointe-à-Pitre. No is what? Claxton Bay. Why? Why would they have not changed anything else? I think one PD brought in. That means not the whole of not even from Claxton Bay, came from Dabakit. One PD change. But you change the whole seat to call it what? Claxton Bay. What was it before? Pointe-à-Pitre. What did you do to Pointe-à-Pitre? You shut down the refinery in Pointe-à-Pitre. They don't want you to remember the name Pointe-à-Pitre, because then you remember the pain and the suffering of the thousands of persons that put on the breadline at that petroleum refinery. And now, they're hiding again. Remember Mr. Valley in the Parliament, he told Oka Sipol, who was then the speaker, he said you could run, but you cannot hide. You could run, but you can't. So, Pointe-à-Pitre, Claxton Bay, by whichever name you call it, it licks like fire, it licks like peas. It will be a UNC seat that we will recapture. So they've renamed 5 constituencies. They've altered the boundaries of 16 constituencies. As I said, renamed Pointe-à-Pitre to Claxton Bay. What is the rationale? Tell us, what was your rationale to change your name? I've given you the real reason, the reason they want to hide. But why, EBC? Why you did it? Why did you change the name to Claxton Bay? And as I said, the PDs in Claxton Bay, very few. Now, if you say you're taking Claxton Bay, you want to call it, why you didn't change your name Siparia? Why didn't you change the name of the constituency of Siparia? I'm not asking you to change it because I'm a Siparia girl. Just like Silverine sitting down somewhere there. I'm not asking you, but why? What is your rationale? Because the constituency of Siparia only has about 2 or 3 PDs where? In Siparia proper. All the other 40-something, where they belong? Penal. So what is your rationale for changing Pointe-à-Pitre to Claxton Bay? You see, these fellas are stricters, you know. They're up to no good. They're never up to anything they do. And what they say, what you do in the dark, come up in the... Yeah, always comes back up in the light. So they change these names, and I want to know why. My seat, Siparia, has 34 PDs. 34. 28 PDs are in the penal Debe Corporation area. 28. So why did you not change it? 83% of my constituency is outside of Siparia, but they kept the name. They kept it. I'm glad. As I say, I'm a Siparia girl. So they operate in a very Vikey manner, ad hoc manner, because they are corrupt. One reason, as I told you, for Pointe-à-Pitre, and a different reason for Siparia. And others we can look at in likewise as name changes. So, forgetting the name changes, what happened with the PDs now? I see persons talking about the changes in the PDs within a constituency. We are currently analyzing the reports. So I'm not jumping out too quick to say, hey, the seat becomes stronger, PNM, the seat becomes stronger, UNSC. No, no, no. You see, that report is based on 2020 demographics. We are 4 years later. What has happened in that 4 years? What has happened? So we cannot base our analysis on 2020 general election votes in these PDs. We have to go, and I'm asking every one of you, depending on where you are from, and those of you listening, go into your constituency. And I want you to go into those transferred PDs to determine what new housing developments have been built. So don't sit around and say, they take one from here and they put it there and it gets stronger. No. Look for the house. I'm sorry I don't have the video. I saw our Councillor Macamillan, Michael Alibokas. I saw him there where he went, where they're putting up these houses in San Fernando. block upon block upon block. So you all don't sit down there and don't think these people not corrupt. They are very corrupt. And they will do anything to keep their hands inside of the treasury, to fly as a frequent flyer man, $10+ million flying hundreds of thousands of dollars for one visit for one day. They will keep their hands in the treasury. They will do anything. And we must do all that is legal to ensure that we win the next election. They must get out. They have to go. They have to go. Only when we do the site visits, the physical visits in the constituencies, can be determined the effect of the boundary changes. So don't get chained up. Don't get fooled. Some people send me, boss, don't worry, the seat gets stronger, How you know that? That was 2020 data. 4 years later, by the time election comes, 5 years later, maybe 4 to 5. So, in those marginals, you have a job to do. And even if it's not a marginal, you still have a job to do. Because as I said, they will do anything they can to stay in power. So I'll give you a more comprehensive analysis after we do this exercise. And those of you who are living in areas, you can also do it. Help us send the data. The government is busy building low-quality housing all over the marginal seats to vote upon. They're building poor-quality housing on the banks of the Guaracara and Cipero rivers. That's where? In the seat of San Fernando West. We had to watch them. And make sure you apply for your house. When in those areas, make sure to apply for the house. Some people say, boss, we don't want HEC house. Look, you're getting an HEC house. Take the HEC house and vote UNC. Clear as ever. That is being built with taxpayers' dollars. So they belong to you as well. So nothing from Greenvale, the Greenvale disaster, they had built on the banks of the Caroni River. You remember that in Greenvale, and if JJ will remember it well. Remember when that whole Greenvale area totally flooded? They built on the banks. They're building on the banks, as I told you, of this Guaracara and Cipero rivers. So just put down the house. Somebody told us earlier, they give you a key, you go on in, they had no electricity, the lights start working. Years later, months later, and house collapsing in the river. They have a history of building poor quality housing. Las Alturas, remember anybody? The whole thing collapsed. Collapsed. Munilal, you remember that well. There was a commission of inquiry. Just block up and block high-rise buildings just collapsed. And don't forget now what is happening at Terrestrial. If you didn't know, the Terrestrial housing development, I don't know what corruption and scandal going on there, but they have stopped the contract. And I think the contractor may have been a friend or it is alleged, the contractor for Terrestrial alleged that he was a friend financier of the PNM. But they've taken away his contract now, stopped the contract because something is wrong with the work. This is what I'm being told. In a couple of weeks, you will hear, as I say, a more comprehensive analysis of that EBC report. I would like you to look at San Fernando West to show you how the corrupt EBC is biased towards the PNM. There's a seat that is next to San Fernando West. You know which one it is? Strong UNC seat. Oropouche East. Boundary. Oropouche East is often overflowing with voters. I don't know people, Oropouche East, making plenty of children. So the population, the population keeps growing there. Huge amounts of voters and people. But they will not take any PDs from Oropouche East and just over the boundary line. They will take it from where? San Fernando East, their vote bank. So the field is smart. Before the 2015 general elections, the EBC submitted a report in which it recommended alterations of the boundaries of 10 seats in Trinidad. One of those was San Fernando West. I quote from the 2015 order, and I'm just sharing it with you so you know, don't get chained up. These people are very corrupt. I quote from the report in 2015, the order that was made. In San Fernando East, due to transfer from this constituency of polling divisions 4055 and 4060 to San Fernando West and transfer into it polling division 3860, 3872, 3905 from Oropouche East. Pick up 3 PDs from Oropouche East, drop it in San Fernando East where it will not make a difference. But do what? Take 2 out of the East to drop it in West, the marginal. The order continues. In San Fernando West, due to a transfer into this constituency West of polling divisions 4055 and 4060 from San Fernando East, and in Oropouche East, due to transfer from this Oropouche East of PDs 3860, 3872 and 3905 to San Fernando East. Well, listen now, when they keep doing this, they feel they're fooling everybody. One day it will catch up with them, you know. They might take so much out of Oropouche East and drop it into San Fernando East that we win. It could happen because, you know, when you're thieving, God don't like thief, you know. God don't like thief. So when you don't sleep, I tell you, God don't sleep, or he wears pajamas. Thank you for reminding me. This means San Fernando West needed more voters, but guess what? They didn't have to take them from Oropouche East. Okay? Oropouche had too many, that is why they throw them over the line. As I said, they could have taken 3 BDs from Oropouche East straight into San Fernando West, and they wouldn't do that. They would not do it. Remember, they had no reason to interfere with San Fernando East. You see the jigsaw going on there? Because you take her from East to put in West, you had to come back and make up the numbers in San Fernando East. So you grab them from Oropouche East. There was nothing, there was no need to change anything in San Fernando East. Them same votes that you took from Orochi to drop there, you could have taken them and put them in the West. Why you interfere? Why you put 3 constituency mix up in this foolishness? Again, no good reason, except for some people to thief. Remember, as I said, come to 2024, they've moved certain PDs out, and we can talk a little more about that on another day. They did the same thing in 2015 election. Now we're coming down to 24-25, and they're up to their gerrymandering tricks again. Always remember how they transferred PDs in St. Joseph. So St. Joseph, watch out as well, huh? Okay, I've had 2 sets of meetings in the recent past as the party continues for outreach and to build. And there appears to be a deliberate and sustained attack on the unions in our country. The wider membership of the unions by government. We have been holding talks with key unions in our country, and on March 22, we held a widely publicized meeting with the Joint Trade Union Movement with Mr. Roger and his team, President Alcel Roger, and 9 other key trade union leaders and officials from JTUM. Mr. Jackman was present at that meeting. In that meeting, which was reported in the media, we spoke about how the UNC will help with several serious issues of workers' rights affecting the trade union body. Some of these issues include several institutions have outstanding salary negotiations dating back to 2015, crucial amendments to the Industrial Relations Act. The UNC and JTUM discussed a joint approach to tackle the issues. In addition to that meeting with JTUM, the UNC has met with President Mr. Leroy Baptiste of the PSA to better understand workers' issues. I want to say both those meetings with workers' unions and representatives, they have been positive. There is a firm commitment for further discussions to be held as they seek to find common ground in the interest of public servants and the wider public. Also workers in other sectors. We have been working with all sectors to find a common, united path to move our country forward and restore good governance to Trinidad and Tobago. Now, one of the issues that was raised, and I'm glad Ms. John spoke tonight about housing, because that is something that affects every young person. Everybody wants home of their own. And that was one of the main issues brought by the workers to us. the issue of affordable home ownership. I am told that we have 2 and 3 generations of families living in the same house or apartment. 1, 2, 3 generations in the same house or apartment in some places, sleeping on the floor because the price of land and house is totally out of reach. We have to make quality housing more affordable and more accessible to people and to young people. And so we will begin consultations with the legal fraternity on the issue of allowing lawyers to advertise. Why do I say that? I'm a lawyer, yes, but I don't plan to advertise. To allow lawyers to advertise. You know why? I believe by allowing this, potential clients can be more informed about costs. It will increase competition, assist young lawyers, and drive down conveyancing prices. Remember, we talk about house and land, eh? You must get a lawyer to deal with house and land. But if the lawyer's fees are too high, that's one way we can help you bring the costs down. But we will have a consultation with the lawyers. I think tomorrow morning, some of the Eater food lawyers will be cussing me, because they want to keep those prices up sky high. I call them eat a food lawyers, because that's all they do. They sit down and they wait to get all those state briefs and government briefs. And they keep the prices very high. Well, that's good as a free country. But I'm now saying we'll have discussions with lawyers, the legal fraternity, with the view to bringing prices down. And how can we do that? One way, and they may have other ways we can bring prices down, by advertising. They can advertise their services. You see, Janji's smiling, she's a lawyer, she probably wants to advertise too, who knows? So, well, you are lucky. She said she has enough work. But I mean, the young lawyers, I think I see Chris somewhere there who just graduated, yes. Look, other young lawyers just, to build their practice. Years ago, a lot of things were secret things. So lawyers, you can't advertise. Doctors, you can't advertise. But all of this was to dig out people's eyes, I'm sorry to say. That who make any money will continue to make the money. How do you let the young people into the field? More coming out. Even look like valuators. When you're going for house and land, you have to get your mortgage, you get valuators and so on. So those are some of the things we can consult. I'm not making it a policy statement, saying consultation to make it happen. Then now, we'll work to create a single umbrella entity to process approvals for land development or building construction, a single one-stop place. Right now, I am told, you have to go by WASA to get something. You have to go to fire for something. Regional corporations all over the place. By the time you finish 2 years, 3 years pass, you cannot get your certificate of completion. So if you want a mortgage, you can't get a mortgage. You have to do what they call bridging or something, bridging loans. Greg is better at these things. I'm just the politician here, but to get your land, to get it valued, to get all these approvals. We are saying we will have a unit from fire, WASA, TNTEC, town and country, health, regional corporations under a single body. A single body. So you won't have to go all over the country for individual approvals, and this will be like a one-stop shop, okay? Then our aim is to have provisional approvals ready within 45 to 50 days of first application, and final approvals with completion certificates within another 50 days of completion of the project. We'll get a 100-day layover to get it done. Some who are clapping know what I'm talking about. Some who are not clapping must be still living in mommy and daddy house something, and you're not worrying. You're not looking for a house or piece of land. That's quite okay. So the system is very corrupt. Projects have been stalled for years. By streamlining these approvals, we can get more land and housing stock available to increase supply in relation to demand, and that also does what? Drive down cost. If you have supply more than demand, then what happens? The prices will also drop. Also, by shortening the project time, developers and builders can reduce costs and they can pass on these lower prices to the younger people who want to own a home. I'm saying the UNC will reinvigorate the Land for Landless initiative. That was such a great initiative. We will reinvigorate it. That was excellent and helped a lot of low-income earners. So dealing with issues of home owning, affordable home ownership. I know Arnold spoke about the babies, others spoke about the babies. I want to speak about those babies tonight. There is nothing more painful than losing a child. There is nothing for a mother just giving birth to a baby to lose that child. For 8 years now, our MPs, senators, doctors have been consistently complaining and warning about the devastating state of public health in our country. You know, this is not the first time this thing happened. You know, it happened in 2018. Do you all remember that? Look, Dr. Rishi there, 2018, we raised it in the parliament, and what did Mr. Diyal Singh do then? What did the MP Diyal Singh come and apologize? Same thing. 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Repeating failure and pain caused to people. I had a lot of things to say on that. I think it's painful, but I'll tell you one thing. That is why we built the Couva Children's Hospital. That is one of the reasons. That was one of the reasons. So you don't have these little babies up there. That was a Couva Children's Hospital. We had the segments of it for newborn babies or maternity. Yeah, the maternity ward, you come in and have your baby there. That's what we built it for. We didn't build it for corruption and thief. We built it for the children of Trinidad and Tobago and the mothers of Trinidad and Tobago and others. And others, so if you need a justification for that hospital, in 2018, Diyal Singh responded when there was a spike in newborn deaths at Mount Hope. He gave one excuse after another. He promised to expand neonatal care and improve infection control measures. Yet here we are, 6 years later, mourning the death of innocents under his watch once again. In 2016, a child was given blood which was HIV positive. The child died in 2018, 2 years later. No one has held accountable for these deaths. The Minister of Health, the CEO of Northwest, must be held accountable for their roles in this tragedy. Dr. Bodo on Sunday called for his resignation. I agree with you. Diyal Singh must go, he must go. All of them must go. They must all go. They should just go. 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 Because of Diyal Singh in health, Heinz in national security, thousands have died, and yet they remain to continue to oversee the deaths of more people. How can we have any faith in these persons after what has happened? So, Couva Children's Hospital, I said the tragedy highlights the broader issue of evil and incompetence in this Rowley government. Excuse me a minute, please. Still closed. We will open it, don't worry. The UNC will open the DB campus, don't worry. The UNC will open the Couva Children's Hospital as well. This hospital represents a missed opportunity to help with the problems in our health sector. The refusal to open it is only spite of malice and ill will. Bad mind, yeah, that is the right word, bad mind. They are so bad mind. They prefer people to die than to open that hospital, because we built that hospital, the UNC built that hospital, and the UNC will come back to open that hospital. These debts are on their hands. These debts should forever haunt them because of their incompetence, failure, and bad mind. So, we have called before, Dr. Bodo, Dr. Rishi, Since 2020, we have been calling for a commission of inquiry into the Rowley government's mismanagement of the COVID-19 pandemic. Over 5,000 persons died in that pandemic. We also said we want this inquiry to probe the unaccounted billions of taxpayers' dollars spent by the Rowley government during that pandemic. Yesterday, Dr. Bodo and Senator Mark again condemned the Alsing's failure. Dr. Bodo asked for the investigation to be completed and the report submitted quickly and for no cover-up on this matter. I endorse those calls made by our colleagues yesterday. I want to say further, when we return to government, we will appoint a commission of inquiry to look into all COVID deaths as well as the management of the health sector. In England, the Prime Minister then had promised to do a commission of inquiry, and he kept his promise. In other countries, they're doing the commissions of inquiry or other investigations. We must do it. A lot of money was spent during that COVID pandemic, and I don't think you all down here in Moruga Tableland get 5 cents from that. I don't think so. You could tell me from that COVID relief. Non-stop crime, violence, bloodletting in TNT. In the past week, our nation has been traumatized by murder, home invasion after home invasion, senseless bloodletting, demonic bloodletting. Where can you ever find or would ever believe somebody will decapitate, behead a child? It is beyond human. That is demonic. I was going to sleep the other night. Greg said, "Come and look at." I said, "Greg, I don't even want to talk about. Please don't. Let's not talk about it. It is too horrifying. It is beyond belief." So all these murders that we have there, yes, but oh God, man, a child, a little child. For the first 4 months of this year, we have had 170 murders. People are desperate, hopeless, asking when this horrific, unprecedented crime wave and violence, when will it end? When will they do anything about it? They are clueless, witless. They're incapable of coming up with any plans. When you have a national security man tell you that his job is not to make you feel safe, so what the hell is he doing there? Why is he sitting in that seat? And that's not his job. Then what is your job? If your job is not to make the population safe, to help keep us safe, what is your job? What is your job? Or somebody tell me he's sleeping. Sleeping when they say I've dropsy. You know, it's jokey, but it's really, really frightening and sad. Eh? It's jokey, but it is very sad. So all these here, the right here in Moruga Tableland, this used to be a peaceful place. No murder, home invasion in broad daylight. People are being terrorized, yes, forced to live in fear. Under this government, look at some of the headlines coming from your constituency. August 10, 2023, man shot during home invasion in Moruga. Monday, June 5th, 2023, Newsday, brother of slain Moruga businessman. He was my hero. Loop News, February 14, 2023. Son of WPC shot dead in Moruga. Guardian, 17 June 2022. No leads as yet on Moruga double murder. Newsday, August 10, 22. Ex-lay minister killed. Son wounded by relative at Moruga home. Newsday, Wednesday, 14 April 2021. Double homicide. This is your place in Moruga. This is what your once peaceful village has come to. And you know why? In the last election, some of you took God out of your thoughts and you put your X in the wrong place. Next election, remember, put that X next to the rising sun. Remember, place your X next to the rising sun. And people are speaking about the crime everywhere in our country. We have held a lot of crime talks, and we will use that to formulate our policy and further policies going forward as we fight crime in Trinidad and Tobago. I wanted to just share finally with you a Reuters report which came out today, the 15th of April, okay, today. So whilst we are putting things in place, there's a development emerging on the international stage. You might not know, but it will impact on our nation. A Reuters article published today states that a U.S. State Department spokesman says that the U.S. government will not renew the temporary license that has been easing sanctions on Venezuela's oil and gas sector if President Maduro does not make progress towards free and fair elections. That license, Mr. Jackman, expires on the 18th, I think, of April. So the U.S. had given a license saying they will lift the sanctions on Venezuela, and unless conditions change, that license expires April 18, will have severe implications for the future of TNT. Because both Rowley and Stuart Young, they have put all of the nation's hopes and dreams in the hands of Venezuela by placing all our national eggs in that one basket. Banking they are heavily on cross-border gas deals like the Dragon Project with Venezuela. Time and again we have cautioned against such a narrow focus. If this Reuters report is factual, and we'll know within a few days, because the license is set to expire on the 18th. I don't think Reuters will write, they are not like other media, they're international media. They're not like Arnold Media, okay? I heard them describe you today as Arnold as a great media personality and spokesman. So this is, you feel it will not impact on you, but it will severely impact all of us. Because if we don't have the oil and gas, if we don't have the energy sector, this government has developed nothing to bring revenue into our country. No other streams of revenue. They still rely on the energy basket. So, very serious matter. We'll continue to monitor and keep you updated. I close now. I say we are a very deeply wounded nation. We are a nation in pain. We are a nation losing an entire generation. Crime is a horrible pestilence of our times. Our international image is the worst in our history. Fear and horror, facts of daily living. Business people are refusing to invest. Many are leaving in order to protect their families. Extortionists are telling business people they know the whereabouts of their families. While people are being mercilessly killed each day, Mr. Rowley's response is to have fun and to retain his incompetent ministers. That arrogant, disdainful response is an insult. It's an insult to many law-abiding citizens. I said Moruga was once a peaceful place. Now people are being terrorized and killed. Wherein several of your places, 6 companies at Mary's Village, Bastere, Pina Rock Road, and other villages. Routine carjackings, robberies, random shootings. And so your community, as in other places in TNT, have now become war zones. War zones. Most of the areas, Moruga has lost its innocence. Hard-working people here live in fear. Some are leaving their businesses and homes, looking to migrate. Those who can do so, majority of us cannot migrate. We need a safe, secure Moruga Tepeland. We need a safe, secure Trinidad and Tobago. We need a safe and secure TNT. Tonight, I call upon each of you to join us in a movement for good health, for good security, for justice, for prosperity, and for a better quality of life. I close, as I always do, to thank you so much for sharing your time with me tonight. And I tell you, you have had leaders before me. And guess what? You will have other leaders after me. But, you will never, ever have a leader who loves you as much as I do. Thank you and God bless you. Let's welcome the drummers.